I wish there was a way to just send him back to Los Angeles. That was like, there's sometimes where there's just partnerships that end where you're like, can we just get a do-over? Like, obviously this is not in the best interest of both parties. They made a mistake. Let's just, you get a whoopsie and they just go back. Like, Caruso never should have left the Lakers, and the Bulls should never have brought in Caruso. But part of it is like, I mean, we both are big Lonzo guys, and this has been rough for them to see just kind of, it's out of their hands, right? Like with what's going on with Lonzo, and it's nothing against Lonzo. It's just another one of those injury things where it's like, man, this just sucks. Like, it just sucks. The knee stuff, he wants to be back, and he is an important cog in what they were trying to do. Like, they were trying to build this really great defensive team with Patrick Williams, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. It made sense to surround as many capable defenders around Zach LaVine as possible. It made sense. I think the Vucevic trade did not make sense. That was one that we were all at the time like, this is weird. I wouldn't have done that, but whatever. And then DeRozan had an MVP-esque season a year ago, and you look at his numbers this year and last year, the fit, and it's just the on-off is bad. Like, the points per possession is bad when your starting lineup is struggling as much as it is without Lonzo. It doesn't matter if it's Ayo. It doesn't matter if it's Caruso. They're struggling. And I look at it and I'm like, I think maybe a lot of the problem when you see like LaVine and DeRozan don't know how to play together, but it's like they're both in the 98th percentile or close to it in usage. And I'm like, I think they kind of have to, because they're playing a lot of lineups with just guys who can't really create. Vooch, Patrick Williams, Derek Jones, Alex Caruso, the ghost of Goran Dragic. Like, you just look at this and I'm like, I think they're just kind of screwed. I think this is just an untenable situation in Chicago, and it's kind of sad because they really I think played above what they actually were a season ago, and now they've come crashing down way more than I thought they would come crashing down. But I don't know, it's a tough league to be this good year over year when you don't really have a true star, and they just have a weird roster that I think they need to fix stuff. How would you fix the Bulls, Jovan?
Blow it up.
Yeah.
I'm on team blow it up. I guess to me, Chicago is almost Minnesota East. Because I was on. I really like to pat myself on the back, but one thing I will pat myself on the back for was I was very low on Minnesota coming into the season. I know a lot of people were picking them as like a top 4 seed.
I had them being the number 1 seed going into the playoffs in the West.
Okay, so
Jovan, that's a huge miss. So I may have hit on the Lakers, but I absolutely missed.
I just did not like this. I did not like the Gobert Towns fit. I thought they were going to miss Patrick Beverley from a leadership perspective, and I didn't really like the depth of the team. But we're not talking about Minnesota here. But I just feel like Chicago is kind of a similar situation where I think it's some ill-fitting parts, and honestly, just the East is. Like, even at their peak, like, let's just say Lonzo's healthy, and because of that, we'll just say everyone's healthy. Let's just say the entire league's healthy. Like, where are you realistically putting them in the East? Because I'm still putting Boston and Milwaukee clearly ahead of them, and I would probably put Brooklyn and Philly ahead of them, and that's, now you're talking like 5th at best. I'd still put Cleveland ahead of them. I like what I've seen from Cleveland this season. So, like, you're talking about at best like a 6 seed. And then you still got Miami, who I know they haven't had a great season, but like I feel like they're going to be one of those teams that's like a 6 or 7 seed that's still tough out in the playoffs and pushes like a team in the first round to 6 or 7 games. Like, and then okay, are they really better than like Toronto and Atlanta, and like, we're going now down to like 7, 8, 9 range, and I just think like that's where they are at best, and obviously they're not healthy and not at their best right now. So for me, I would just blow it all up. Maybe keep Lonzo, keep Patrick Williams, like maybe keep some of the younger guys, but DeRozan, Vooch, and Zach LaVine, I'm trading all 3 of them and getting back as many picks and as many young, interesting guys as I can get, and I'm rebuilding. And it sucks because they just kind of went all in like 18 months ago to try to make this a competitive team in a competitive situation, but the fact of the matter is I just don't think this is better than like a 6 seed as constructed, and most likely a first round and out. And unless you just want to put butts in seats and have an exciting team and win 45 to 50 games every year, like that's fine. You saw that in Atlanta for almost a decade. But if you really want to contend, I don't think this core is going to get it done. And I think it's time for them to move on. And it sucks to do it kind of so quickly, but I think it's better to pull the plug now than go through the year, wait till the summer, and I just think do it now, and you're probably going to get more.
I also think it's under talked about. There's so much focus on Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Missing on Patrick Williams that high in the lottery. This is the kind of thing that happens. Is if he is, because he was one of those high upside guys, right? Okay, well, we can turn him. There's just every year we're going to see the team is we can turn him into Kawhi Leonard. He can be our
Which
Kawhi Leonard.
Which is insane because there's one Kawhi Leonard.
Exactly, but a lot of teams go into that with that mindset, right? Toronto's doing it right now with Scotty Barnes, where it's our development. Nick Nurse we can get there with Scotty. We just won a title with a Kawhi Leonard. We know what we're doing. We know how to redo this. It's easier said than done. Like you said, there's one Kawhi Leonard. Patrick Williams, you look up all the different lineups. They're bad. Everything with Patrick Williams in it. It's just the shooting's not there. He's not that kind of guy. And when you miss that high in the lottery, it just really, really comes back to bite you because everybody else, it's really just Zach LaVine's the holdover here. And if he hit, then you're oh, all healthy, Lonzo, Patrick Williams is a young star, DeMar DeRozan is a supplemental third or fourth guy on a really good team. Everything looks a lot better. But because you missed on Patrick Williams, and I think now we're at the point where we can say this is who he is at this point, and the stardom is not coming for Patrick Williams, then you're all right, well, like you said, we just kind of have to blow it up. But I worry for Chicago's perspective. I don't know what you get. I don't think DeRozan really brings in a great haul. I don't think Zach LaVine at this point brings in a great haul. I'm sure he brings in the best of anyone.
I know a team that would be willing to give up a couple picks.
Oh, is it a certain team out of the Los Angeles area?
Yeah, I think Lakers would definitely be interested in DeRozan and Zach LaVine.
But does he fix anything? Does he help? Does he move the needle? Can they really give up more depth for Zach LaVine? Bradley Beal, I understand it a little bit more. Zach LaVine, I don't know.
I think he's a better fit than Russ, but that bar is relatively low.
Yeah.
Most stars are a better fit than Russ. I think DeRozan or LaVine would definitely be an upgrade. Now you are really going all in again. If you're attaching those two picks, those are your chips. You do get your pick back on draft night in 2023, but for the most part, that's kind of your all in move. But I think it's something the Lakers will monitor. Now they might. That versus getting back an interesting young guy plus maybe another pick or a couple picks from someone else. I think there's ways for the Lakers have a finite amount of stuff they can give up, and it's really pick heavy. It's the two picks are kind of the appealing thing. So can the Bulls find something else that's potentially more interesting? For sure, I think that's possible. But with DeRozan and LaVine, I think both of them. DeRozan is from LA, played at USC, has the obvious LA connection, the Kobe connection. Zach, West Coast guys. So I think there's
played at UCLA.
Yeah, played at UCLA from the Seattle area. So I think there's definitely something there, but we'll see, right? It's always easy it's easy for us to say to blow it up, and versus actually doing it. It takes a certain level of gall and gumption and all these G words. So I think it's easy for us to say it, but especially for a big market team too, because I think that's the other thing is I talked to Troy Brown earlier in the season, and he was talking about. I asked him about the attention in LA, the media attention, and he was I was you went Washington, Chicago, LA. It feels like you're kind of elevating in terms of attention and fan base and each situation. And he was honestly, Chicago and LA are like basically the same. Like,
Hmm.
and he's like last year, like Bulls fans and just the city was like so in love with that team because they were finally good after not being good for several years. So like when it's good in Chicago, it's really good. And like, I feel like that's hard to give that up. All right. Like that's kind of the Knicks problem, right? They've been searching for that and kind of miring in mediocrity and so I don't know. I guess we'll see if it happens. I think it's possible, but I could also see it maybe them doing a half measure where they trade one of the two and then just see like, can we remain competitive? And in that case, I don't know if the Westbrook deal makes sense for them. That's more of like, we're just tearing it all down and we'll give Russ the keys for a half season and then, he'll sign somewhere else.
I think that's why you bring in Arturas, right? Because he comes from the Denver front office of trying to navigate through the middle. Like, I think this is a navigate through the middle kind of team. So I would guess LaVine's still there, and I think they moved DeRozan. I think they're just like, they do him a solid of like, hey, where do you want to go? Be a contender. Where do you want? Like, I can see him in New York too. New York's won 6, 7, 8 straight. You're like, all right, let's just do this. That's a very New York thing of like, all right, we'll bring in DeMar DeRozan now. I don't know. I could see that. Speaking of the Knicks, Jovan, I think this is pretty interesting. I mean, everything's coming up New York. It's very weird. The Jets and Giants both might be playoff teams. You have the Nets and Knicks both, if the playoffs started today, are in the playoffs and playing really good basketball. You have the Yankees and Mets gobbling up all the best free agents. It's like everything's coming up New York. It's a little weird. But I want to ask this question. Knicks, Nets, Sixers, they're all on big win streaks right now, Jovan. Who of those three do you actually believe in the most keeping this up?
The Sixers. Yeah.
I thought you wanted to say Nets there.
Yeah, it's between, like, I'll say it's between the Sixers and the Nets. With the Nets, I just, it's